Mavericks have a lot of paths they can go down for the next general manager. I'm telling you a few names they will consider on today's Locked On Mavs.
This is Cooper Flagg, and you're listening to Locked On Mavs.
Nick, that's a good question.
Good morning, Isaac.
You are Locked On Mavs, your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
No one's dying.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't leave.
Your team every day.
I'm going to get a city like back.
You are Locked On the Dallas Mavericks. This is one of your co-hosts, Isaac Harris, covering the Mavs for the last 10 years alongside my good friend, Nick Angstead. And we are in a new chapter, a new era for the Dallas Mavericks as the past GM. I don't know if you guys haven't heard that. It's I won't break some news to you here, but the past general manager, Nico Harrison, was removed from his job and dismissed, and the Mavericks made a personnel change, and in return they promoted Michael Finley and Matt Riccardi into this interim GM role for the team. So who's going to run the ship next? That's the biggest question in Mavs land right now. Who is going to be the decision maker? It feels like it's a Game of Thrones right now. I mean, you have Nico removed. It's like Game of Thrones. If you watch Game of Thrones, it's like the king the king passes away, and then it's like all these people at the table vying for the power of like who is going to have the throne next, because you obviously have Patrick Dumont, who is the majority owner. You have Mark Cuban, who's the minority owner now, that is now back in the circle, I guess, having some opinions on things and who he would go after. And he's got Dumont's ear a little bit now. Then you have Jason Kidd, who's the head coach, but he has expressed interest in the past of like moving to the front office. And we've seen him in past stops before, want more control, want more power in that situation. So, and then we didn't even say you have the interim GMs in that. So there's so many people right now that are vying for influence, power, however you want to say it. And at some point, Patrick Dumont is going to have to decide who is going to be the person that is going to lead the Mavericks in decision making and building out this team and making a decision on what's next and the direction. He's got to decide on that. All the reporting, Mark Stein has just done incredible reporting on this show. Well, I guess the show that the Mavericks have put on. Of just the situation. Obviously, Tim McMahon, friend of the show and friend of Nick and I's, and he's done an amazing job at covering the story. And to anybody's reporting on the story, it looks like Patrick Dumont is going to put an in-depth search out, a very robust search into who the next general manager could be. And you're like, hey, for a lot of owners out there, you can go and look at like who are the people that they would target, who's their like type or their brand of person. It's hard to do that with Dumont, right? Because he's a newer owner. The only thing that we can go off of is, all right, he gave a lot of power to Nico Harrison. He regrets it now. He kind of pushed Cuban out. Now Cuban's a little bit back in. He went and lured Rick Weltz out of retirement. That we can all assume Rick Weltz, a legend when it comes to executives in the NBA, who is retired and probably enjoying life. I don't fully know that, but I'm assuming he was probably pretty well off. And Dumont came calling and made a number work for Rick Weltz. So it feels like Dumont is going to go out and try to, it feels like pocketbook is not going to be an issue here. It's finding the right person, or less it should be. And I think there's a lot of different options that they could take. There's a lot of different paths that they could take. So I want to walk through the different paths. I want to throw out you some names. Nick and I briefly talked about the other day. And then I might give you at the end of like who I would go for if possible, if it was up to me, but it's not up to me. Dang. Or make a prediction. I guess we can make a prediction. I would like to throw my hat in the ring if they would like to consult me and bring me in to run the team. That would be awesome. maybe Nick and myself could like co-GM it. No. Okay, let's go with path one. Path one is they kind of ride with what they have now. You have Michael Finley, you have Matt Riccardi, and let's say they like pick one of those guys, which it feels kind of weird if they would pick Finley because Finley's been kind of like passed over. I'm not really totally for sure what Finley does. He's just been in like a different front office role or different roles over the years. I'm not opposed to Finley. I just don't know. I don't know him personally. I don't know people connected to him that well. So that's probably more of a me thing than it is a Finn thing. But with Riccardi is like, if they want to go the up and coming, and I say up and coming, he's been in the league 17 years, but I say that would be his like first general manager job. But Riccardi's an amazing dude, like one of the nicest dudes. And I want to say front offices in the NBA, but it's not like I know all these people in different front offices or whatever. But Matt Riccardi is such a cool dude. And I mean, he's from Plano, from the area and stuff too. So that's like a, cool thing. Understands the Mavericks history, understands Dirk Nowitzki and the impact on this city, and all of that. But more importantly, he spent so much time in Brooklyn under Rod Thorne and Bobby Marks, who you see on ESPN and stuff now. And Nico brings him in to be the assistant general manager. He has this relationship with Jason Kidd also. So in my opinion, if you go the young person route, because a lot of people are throwing out names right now of, man, well, if they go out and get a GM, they're going to get they're going to try to go get the up and coming guy, which a lot of teams do, right? A lot of franchises do try to go out and they try to pick off the assistant GMs or the second or third guys underneath a really good front office, like a Sam Presti or San Antonio or a Miami or Golden State or something like that. And you try to pick off that young up and coming guy. Well, one, it's a little hard to do that right now because you're in the middle of the season. It feels kind of clunky for that. I'm not saying it's impossible. It feels kind of clunky to be like, hey, Trent Redden for the Clippers, we know you're from Texas and all that. And but can you take a break from can we have permission to interview him and all this stuff? So I feel like if they go the young person route and they want an up and comer, they want somebody that is just, ready to take on the job as like their first job. Why not go with Matt Riccardi? I get that Nico brought him in and a lot of people just associate him with Nico Harrison. But if you're going to go that route, he understands. And here's one of the things too, that Mark Stein put in, that Dumont really wants somebody that's going to talk to us, the media, more and that can talk to us, the media, more in a better way than which Nico did. So, my experience with Matt Riccardi and conversations with him and different things, like he is a super nice and cool guy that I feel like he would do a little bit better than Nico talking to media, even though that bar is pretty low. But I'm just saying, like, if they go that route, he has a relationship with Jason Kidd. I don't feel like Jason Kidd's going anywhere. I think it was Stein who reported that if they go the Riccardi route, then that's Jason Kidd's preference in that, and you could have a tag team in that with like Riccardi and Jason Kidd, kind of like, hey, we're gonna go after this thing together, and however Finn fits into that, be a little bit easier to bring Dirk back in the fold, not as a GM, but like back around the franchise whenever his like closest teammates, Jason Kidd, Michael Finley. So anyway, I think if they're going to go that route, you just keep Matt Riccardi, maybe promote him and go from there. You don't have to, there's familiarity, you know the word I'm going for, with Dumont and everything with Riccardi. Second route, another in-house route. You're like, Isaac, who else is more in-house? The only person we've heard about is Riccardi and Michael Finley. Is there another guy? Andrew Baker? No, I haven't heard of Andrew Baker's name with this. The next route they could go is Jason Kidd. I'm going to tell you why Jason Kidd is a very real GM candidate for the Dallas Mavericks coming up next. This podcast is brought to you by our good friends at Drip Drop. Guys, I got a package in the mail the other day and it had my name on it and it said it was from Drip Drop. And we've been having a blast with it right now. My wife, who's pregnant, third trimester right now. So times are great. She's loving drip drop right now. When I'm hydrated, everything just works better. We just literally talked about cramps in our calves the other day, and you got to stay hydrated for that. My focus, energy, mood, even my skin. That's why I've been using Drip Drop. It's a doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. Drip Drop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands, using a science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. I think we got the berry package, and it's pretty good. So, not going to lie, it's pretty dang good. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com. Use promo code LOCKEDONNBA. That's dripdrop.com. Promo code LOCKEDONNBA for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard. Keep your body and mind performing at their best. This podcast is also brought to you by our friends over at Wayfair. Wayfair, where is that? There it is. The holiday season is right around the corner, man. It's coming up fast. And that means it's time to get your home ready, whether you need more seating for guests, cozy new linens, or fun serveware for holiday hosting. Wayfair's Black Friday sale is here to help you make your space shine. And the best part, you don't have to wait. Wayfair's Black Friday deals are happening all month long. I remember growing up having to stand in line at midnight. Now they're going on all month long with Wayfair. Up to 70% off everything from sofas to spatulas. I love that combination, sofas to spatulas. If you've ever hosted a family for the holidays, you know how much difference a few new touches can make. Wayfair makes that easy. Don't miss out on early Black Friday deals. Head to wayfair.com now to shop Wayfair's Black Friday sales for up to 70% off. That's WAYFAIR.com. Sale ends December 7th.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, I'm back. We're talking about GM candidates. I'm going to keep going here because I want to tell you why Jason Kidd is a viable candidate for the Dallas Mavericks to be the next GM. Let me tell Nick to back off real quick. He's trying to hop up in here. He's going to hop up in here while I'm recording this. Tell you when I'm ready. He's going to laugh that this is actually in my episode. I think Jason Kidd is going to get more of a shot at this than what people think. If you go back to past stops with him, you look at his time in Brooklyn. Jason Kidd wanted more power, right? Like he wanted more power and decision making and all of that. And when you go, he obviously goes to Milwaukee. Now he's been in Dallas. Depending on who you talk to, I think I just heard Tim McMahon say this on the Hoop Collective pod, or maybe his Howdy Partners. He does this weekly. Nick says, "I saw the One More Thing live and waited." Thank you, Nick. Back off. It says that Nick has entered the chat. Get out of here, Nick. I'm talking about GMs. All right. Tim McMahon said on Howdy Partners, it's his weekly YouTube channel or his weekly YouTube show with Michael C. Wright. And he said he had heard that the final plan for Nico and Jason Kidd was for Nico to move further up into a front office role and for Jason Kidd to move into a front office role and then for them to hire a new coach. So I say all of that to say there's been rumblings in the past that eventually Jason Kidd wants to end up in a front office role. It would not shock me one bit if they get to the end of this. We already know that Jason Kidd is going to have say-so with Dumont. Dumont has a good relationship with him. They just extended him and everything. Would not shock me one bit if they were like, hey, in a few weeks or a month or whatever, they're going to promote Jason Kidd to general manager and have a head coaching search at some point, whether at the end of the season or whatever. Get out of here with your freaking drops on the soundboard. We don't want your laugh on this, right?
Explain yourself.
So then it's like, well, who's going to be the head coach? And it's like, okay, well, if they promote Jason Kidd, who would they go after? I know a team out there that's really struggling right now that they're going to play on Friday night, that their coach might be free soon. That's Ty Lue. And I like Ty Lue a lot. If they move Jason Kidd to the front office and then hire Ty Lue, I don't think that's bad. Another Texas type of Texas connection, Taylor Jenkins is still looking for a new job? What if they moved Jason Kidd to the front office and hired Taylor Jenkins? Or what if they went fully Galaxy brand and said, you know what, we really want someone for Cooper Flagg, somebody that we know that loves Cooper Flagg and an up and coming coach, and went to the college ranks and said, hey, John Shire, leave Duke and come be the head coach for the Dallas Mavericks. I don't think they do that because he just got to Duke to be Coach K's successor and all that. But I'm just saying, don't count out Jason Kidd making a run at this GM job. The next one's probably the most obvious one, and that's Dennis Lindsay. This is who, by reporting, Mark Stein, Tim McMahon, Mark Cuban, this is who he's vying for. Dennis Lindsay was a senior advisor for the team last year, and now he took a job with Langdon up in Detroit in a senior advisory type of role in their front office. Can you get this guy back? Depending on who you talk to, he had his hands in some of these trades that worked out for Dallas over the past few years. The final season that they went to the NBA Finals, he was helping advising Nico in that front office. He's 56 years old. He has a bunch of experience throughout the years. I mean, heck, he was with the Spurs as an assistant GM for like 5 years whenever they were on that crazy run back. Gosh, I think it was like Kawhi days, end of TD and all those. Then he spent 7 years in Utah. He was the GM that built the Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, all the teams that were winning a ton of games. Then he transitioned to an advisory role with Utah after that. I'm not opposed to Dennis Lindsay. And I think the case for Dennis Lindsay is you get somebody in the room who knows what they're doing, who's ran the GM job before, and also has a connection and has the relationships already in the front office and in ownership and with coaching and all of that. I think those are a plus. And how does it work in season of like, hey, we know you're working for the Pistons right now. Would y'all let him go right now? I don't know how that works, but I'm not opposed to Dennis Lindsay being the next GM for the Mavericks. I honestly think it would be kind of a smart hire, to be honest. And then the name that everybody wants to talk about, Masai. If Dumont's like, hey, I want to leave I'm going to go searching and throwing the haymakers at everybody, trying to lure them here. What is my Rick Weltz version of GM out there that I don't care what it costs. I want to go out there and throw a number at them that they can't refuse. Does he go after Masai? We know the stint he had in Toronto. They won a championship in Toronto, very well respected around the league. If you care about ages, Lindsay's 56, Masai's 55. That would be a splashy hire, to be flat out honest. Like it would be hard not to be excited if in a few weeks they're like the Mavericks have zeroed in on Masai Ujiri. Like that would be pretty dang excited. That's like, I think like a home run type of hire. But I've literally heard nobody Bob Myers would be like a grand slam type of hire. Everything you hear about Bob Myers is he is perfectly okay in the position he's in now up there in Philadelphia. But Masai, I haven't heard anything, but that would be an awesome hire. And the name I threw out the other day that I continue to go back to is David Griffin. David Griffin was the GM in Cleveland, title up there, began his relationship with Clutch and Clutch Sports and Rich Paul and those guys back then. He's 52, a little bit younger. Most recently had his stint in New Orleans, which he got fired from earlier this year in April. And I actually like a lot of the moves that he made in New Orleans, a lot of the draft picks and young guys and stuff he took swings on because there's a relationship with Clutch. Tim McMahon specifically pointed that out. Rich Paul has grown his relationship or strengthened his relationship with Patrick Dumont. And like, what does that mean? Is that just about an AD trade, or is he going to have say so on, is he going to like have some influence on like, oh man, who could this GM be? David Griffin has a great relationship with Clutch. He has the experience. He's done it before. He's built around a star before. Honestly, this is the guy that I would be kind of excited about. And I think he would qualify a lot like what I'm looking for. And for me personally, what I would go through of all these different paths, we did the young person route. We did the promote Jason Kidd route. We did the Dennis Lindsay route, and then we did like the, hey, we're swinging for the past GMs route in Masai or David Griffin. For me, all I want is somebody who's done it before. I think right now they need somebody to come in and to be like, I've ran crap before. I've built this before from a past team. I know what it takes to do this job. Preferably, they've built around a young star before. I just think at this point in time, you kind of went out of left field and already did that with bringing Nico over from Nike. There's some outside, like, I mean, you could go with like, I think it's Omar Wilkes for clutch. Like you could go with somebody like that has all the connections and would be a fun hire if you didn't go the Nico route before. But I think since you kind of swung for something different with Nico and we've seen how that turned out, you need somebody in the room who's done it. Like, I get it that it was all about the relationship vibes and those connections with Nico, but now you need somebody with experience. Right now, I'm valuing experience more than relationships. And that's the type of person that I want Dallas to go after with their GM spot. I want them to swing for a Masai. I want them to swing for a David Griffin. Dennis Lindsay, I think, would be a good hire. What I think, if you're telling me right now, like, Isaac, what do you think will happen? I think that they will, if Dennis Lindsay is willing, I think he would get the job. This is just right now. What I am watching a lot is if Jason Kidd is the next GM for the Mavs. I'm just really watching that moving forward. There you go. There's just some GM talk. Threw out you a bunch of different names. And yeah, we'll be back tonight with postgame of the Clippers. Now I can bring Nick back in here.
Hi, Isaac.